It's Dr. Steve, master of the subconscious mind, and doctor who fixes 100% of orthopedic issues not related to cancer, fracture, or infection. Let's talk about cancer today because cancer oftentimes is looked at as a genetic disease. And it actually probably isn't. And the reason is because it's actually a metabolic disease. And though genes do play a role in cancer, your genes can be modulated with our environment. So your emotions and the toxins in the environment play a role with the expression. Cancer is just a symptom. But if we look at Otto Warburg and his research, and he won the Nobel Peace Prize in cancer research, what he's actually showing and what he said in his research is that the cell can't utilize sugar. So everyone took that data and said, well, let's just say, sugar feeds cancer. And the truth is that what happens is if you completely remove sugar out of the diet, the cancer actually metastasizes. So the data was misinterpreted, and we have to look at why the cell isn't able to utilize glucose. What is the oxidative pathway that's damaging that glucose converting to pyruvate, being able to use that for fuel? And there's several factors. Yes, emotions can play a role that affect the DNA, but also environmental factors in the foods that we're taking in play a role that influence the DNA. So gene expression is not the only key, right? Genes turn off and on, right? Under stress, DNA tightens, and when it's relaxed, and when the body's in its parasympathetic state, it relaxes and it unwinds. So when we look at blood sugar dysregulation, one of the biggest causes of blood sugar dysregulation is going to be high cortisol. And the biggest thing in our food system lately, that's been in probably the last 50 years, is the polyunsaturated fatty acids. The seed oils have been added to the food. So iron is the fire, but polyunsaturated fatty acids are the match. And through that, we create this oxidative stress that crashes adrenals, suppresses thyroid function, slows the metabolism, and raises lactic acid because your glucose can't convert to pyruvate. So when we look at cancer, and they always say that cancer has high levels of lactic acid, that is the reason why. So if glucose can convert to pyruvate, lactic acid doesn't go up. That means we're able to make energy. We're able to utilize glucose, and a cell can function. So it's about improving your mitochondrial health. So seed oils, oxidize very easily. These omega-6s, they are liquid at room temperature, and they oxidize. And when those things oxidize, that's the problem. It's the inflammation causing the blood sugar dysregulation. So if you have diabetes, you're possibly on your way to cancer. And we have to look at our foods that we're taking in. We have to look at why is the copper not binding to the iron to make hemoglobin, and why do you have so many polyunsaturated fatty acids? We can look at that through a blood test. We can actually do blood spot tests and test the omega-3 to omega-6 ratios and look at that. But the number one key to solve all this is to stick to stearic acid, which is saturated fat. Saturated fat is not going to cause you the problem. So we get the saturated fat from our ruminant animals. No, not chicken, not fish, because those contain high amounts of omega-3s and omega-6s, which oxidize very easily. So if when we stick to stearic acid, the glucose converts into pyruvate. We make energy efficiently, the mitochondria are healthy, and we don't have issues. All of a sudden, when you start eating the processed foods that have canola oil, safflower, sunflower oil, those are the things that are going to oxidize, causing the glucose not to convert to pyruvate, affecting the mitochondria and the cell's ability to make energy, the basic core of ATP. So all you have to do, if you're concerned about cancer and the genetics, everybody was worried about it, they have the BRCA gene and everything else. You just need to focus on the fatty acid balance, and we need to focus on getting our copper to bind to the iron. So we need to get sunlight. We need to make sure that we're getting good sources of copper from our citrus fruits, right? Sunlight activates our copper to bind to the iron. We have to make sure we're getting retinol forms of vitamin A. We get that from our organ meats and cod liver oil. So now all of a sudden that activates that ceruloplasmin, and we have all these pieces together to get our copper to bind the iron to make hemoglobin, so it's not damaging the mitochondria. And then we remove the polyunsaturated fatty acids and we stick to mostly stearic acid, keeping our fats to about 20 to 25% of our total caloric intake. And now we have a good game plan. We don't have to worry about our DNA winding up and thinking that that's the cause of the cancer, because your genes don't indicate your indications of getting disease. What actually is the indicator is the environment around you that you're creating, and being conscious to the foods that you're putting in your body and your mental state, and establishing a heart-centered connection with others and the world around you.